Happy
Hello.
Mother's Day.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day. I just left the wonderful Sue Diggle. She is well. How is Mama Joyce, Mr. Bentley?
Joyce is good, and wife Christy is good. I trust
Good.
Mel as well. And yeah, it's been a busy day. I literally just kind of got everything ready as it was about 7:59. So
Same.
yeah, we appreciate those tuning in and our guest for coming in on Mother's Day evening here.
Yes.
Word is I'm bringing home the bacon. Word is they don't see what it take to make it, but the word on the street side make it look easy. No flattering, cool, way too easy. Word on the
And our guest today is none other than Blake Heyer, a pitcher out of Lombard Montini Catholic. Blake had himself a week. I will let Mr. Bentley tell you what Blake did and welcome him to the show.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Blake. Go ahead and give a wave to the audience.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys for having me on.
So, obviously, we wanted to have you on. I'd been following you all year and a little bit last year, but you hit the jackpot this week at St. Ignatius with that beautiful backdrop in Chicago. You went 6 2/3, no hits, 14 Ks. And on the year, I've got you at 40 innings, 70 Ks. 1.4 ERA, and opponents are hitting 159 off you. So congratulations on a great year, and especially that battle at St. Ignatius. What can you tell us about how you were feeling that day and what pitches were working, and most likely everything?
Yeah. I pitched there as a sophomore, and one thing I remember about was that the mound, like I was just slipping on every pitch, and just like that was one of my concerns going in was like, how am I going to adjust this mound? Like, how am I going to work on it? And throughout the innings, I was able to get more comfortable on it. So I think that really helped me out a lot. And honestly,
Turf
it was
mound?
just it is turf, but the thing is like they don't really have like the little like pellets in there, so you just like
Oh,
slide like really easily.
so it's just pure turf.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotcha.
Exactly. The fastball was working well. I got lucky because the day before we played them at home, so I got to look at the swings a little bit, see how they react. But yeah, the fastball, I would just honestly just pounding fastball every single inning. There's multiple times where I was down 3-0, 3-1, but I was able to come back and get an out or get a strikeout. So I think that I was really fortunate, that to have that happen pretty often. And especially I think I threw like four curveballs like the entire game. So it was like I don't really need. I think my fastball like has enough like rise. Because I actually know the head coach at St. Ignatius, and I talked to him a little bit after the game, and he's like, "All our players just kept saying like your ball is rising, like they're trying to hit over it, but they just keep swinging under it. Like the ball just looks like it starts at their waist, but it goes to their head. Like, so I think that's part of my fastball that works really well for me.
And
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 then
you're a high spin guy. I know Prep Baseball Report has you at like 2,300, but do you know what your highest spin rate fastball is that you've ever thrown?
I think
I
it's
I
around.
bet 2,400 and 2,500 just looking
Yeah,
at you.
I was
Um,
gonna kind of guess the same thing.
yeah, and that's one of the cooler things that's been discovered here in recent years. Noah Junis, who's with the Red Sox now, he and I talk, pretty frequently. He's a great pitching coach, and his brother's a big league pitcher. And a couple years ago, he started telling guys, "Hey, high spin like that plays at the top of the zone. If you can consistently locate that pitch up top, and you're a high spin rate guy, it's hard to hit. It's every bit as tough as a turbo sinker. So you're definitely working. And spin rate is just something that kind of happens naturally. So kudos to you, man, for having that. Whatever you're doing when it comes off your fingertips, it's working.
Thank you. Yeah, and then I didn't show the slider until like the sixth inning on, and like, I mean, once I started showing it, like they really had no clue like what it was, like where it was coming from. So I was really able to use that to my advantage too. So I think that was also a big key in helping me on from the sixth inning on.
You mentioned Blake. You got a chance to scout and watch the swings of St. Ignatius because you guys played them in a series. Is paying attention to a team that you know you're going to have to pitch against something you've been doing, your whole high school career? Or is that something as an upperclassman that you started to pick up and say, you know what, this is like Greg Maddox did this and it worked for him. I should probably start paying attention. Was that something that came later, or were you always studious like that?
Yeah, so I've been very fortunate. The pitching coach for Montini, Jordan Lazowski, he's a big baseball fan, just loves everything about the game, and he actually does a scouting report before every game. So honestly, like I just let him, call the pitches. I'm allowed to shake off, but it's like I know that he has a lot of prior knowledge. So I really just let him do his thing. And this is really the first year because when I pitched earlier on, it would be like a doubleheader series, but I would pitch the first game, so I never really got to study the swings. But this year, I've been fortunate enough to pitch most of the second games, so I've been really able to look at the swings. But most of the credit really goes to Jordan. He does a lot, fastball in, fastball out, curveball away. Like he really tells me where to throw it, and I just listen to him.
That's great, great stuff, and it's nice to have assistant coaches that'll do that.
Now, just out of curiosity, Blake, are you guys? Is he signaling that in from the dugout? And obviously, I don't want you to give away state secrets here, so obviously, don't tell me too much. But are you guys one of the schools that's using PitchCom yet, or are you
Um,
using old hand signs, or what are we? How's he putting all
yeah, I
this
think
in?
the catcher has a microphone and he signals
Okay,
into the catcher, but then the catcher puts down fingers for the single to me.
right. Okay, so yeah, still using PitchCom. There's a similar system. I know there's a bunch out there now, but
Mm.
gotcha. Nice, very nice.
Blake, what can you tell us about your recruiting process? And you can speak generally, but you know, you're a Holy Cross commit there in the Patriot League, D1, some outstanding academic schools. Was high academics what led you to Holy Cross, or did they seek you out, or a little bit of both? What can you tell us?
Yeah, I would say my whole recruiting story was very like interesting. It was filled with a lot of ups and downs. But obviously going in, like pretty much my main thing was a high academic school. So even at the end, like some of my schools are like my top 3 or 5 or high academic D3s because like my philosophy was like I'd rather go to my philosophy was 40 years over 4 years. So I really like led that like a big part of like my recruitment. And like pretty early on, like I was very fortunate to get some phone calls on August 1st from some even like my dream school. I got a phone call from them. And honestly, like I went to their camp, I did really well. I thought I was gonna offer for them, but I never really did. Like ever since August 1st for the next like 8 months, like my recruitment like wasn't really there. Like I was still sending out a lot of emails. Like I was emailing like hundreds of schools, but like I was getting like camp invites and stuff like that, but nothing like, like phenomenal or like major. And then my 17U summer started to roll around, and I started talking to some more schools, especially a lot of D3s, D2s, JUCOs, NAIs. Like I got offers from everywhere. And I had a lot of, D1 coaches come to my game, a lot of high academic schools, but it felt like every time that they came to my game, like I just underperformed. Like either my velo wasn't there or I walked a lot of guys. It was like every time that they would come, like I just didn't like do well, I would say. Eventually, like, but actually I got very lucky because my teammate, Hayden Harrington, who goes to Loyola, is actually also going to Holy Cross. And I think that's kind of how they found me, was he was their first commit. And I think in the fall, I hit 90 for the first like official time on record at like a perfect game event. And their coach at Holy Cross saw that, I think on Hayden's Twitter or something like that. Like I think he saw that, and then he reached out to me, and that's kind of how it started out.
I think it's Diggle. I feel like has something to say on this topic too. But you know, um, teammates, friends going to play at the same place, and Diggle will know this from scouting. You go to see one kid, and you can't help but notice another. I mean, this is how it happens.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's yeah. It's. I always tell people it works the one way, which is the way that it worked for Blake, where a coach picks up on you from that kid, but it doesn't necessarily work the other way, where the kid tries to kind of force the his buddy on the coach, and you get that a lot, especially in like college summer ball. Especially now with the portal, you'll get a lot of that, and that's not always reliable. But the way Blake and his teammate went about it, that's usually pretty steady. If your teammates are willing to speak up about you, that's obviously a huge sign of the type of player you are, the type of respect you command, stuff like that. So um, that's always a great ace in the hole. Um, Tell me a little bit about the academics, Blake, because what I've noticed as I'm out here on the recruiting trail is there's a lot, and I love what you said about 40 years over 4 years. Um, did how serious were you about like a junior college where, obviously the old joke is rocks for jocks and stuff like that, but is junior college something you would have considered?
I mean, one of my major points was I was going to respond to every single coach, no matter the division, that reached out to me. So I really try to hold that to heart. And obviously, like the better junior colleges, I did respond to. I did kind of talk to a little bit more, but like honestly, it was really the academics that was like a major part for me. So that was a big thing with Holy Cross because in the end, it was between Holy Cross and a couple other really high academic D3s. And my whole thing was like, if I'm going to go to the same academic school, like Holy Cross is, D1 baseball. They won the Patriot League. Like I feel like I
Best
have
of
the
both worlds.
yeah, it was like the best of both worlds, and it was like the location too is like it's like 40 minutes outside of Boston. I'm like pretty close to an airport. They really cater to athletes too. I think it's like 25% of students are athletes, so it's like a large majority are athletes. So I mean, it was really like everything that could possibly be good for a school. Like it was Holy Cross.
It's funny you say that because I was looking today. I can't remember where I saw it. It was somewhere on social media, but who knows which app. But they had interviewed a CEO, and he said, they said, "What do you look for in a potential hire?" And he said, "I want a kid who has been had outstanding academics at the college level. I want them to have played a sport at the college level because that way, one, I know they know how to manage their time. Two, I know they have dealt with failure and they have learned to overcome it." Um, and he said three, he goes, "I want someone who played with fire because that means they don't like to lose, and they try to learn from losing and apply that to become even better at what they do." And I was just like, wow, uh, that's pretty insightful stuff there as far as looking down the road for what comes after baseball. So kudos to you for doing that, man. That's huge.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Can you give us any hints on what other schools, and feel free to say no, and we can I always do it. I
I
always do it. We
seriously,
could
do you
cut
do
it.
this just so we have like a funny part where we're both laughing to lead into the podcast? Like I feel like
Yes.
I'm gonna ask the
I'm
kid the
always
most
looking for a
uncomfortable question
snippet.
ever.
I'm just always interested in this topic. And Blake, feel free to tell me that you don't want to answer.
This
Can you
is
give us
this is right up there with like, what was your first kiss?
what are one or two schools that you were pretty close to choosing if you're up to telling us?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, like I respect these schools so much to like it'd be a disservice like not to say them. Hamilton College, they're part of the NESCAC. They're a really good D3 up in New York. That was a big one for me. Grinnell in Iowa was up there. Also, but Lewis, University of Missouri, St. Louis, those were two other ones pretty high up on the list. So I would say those were some of the major schools.
Very
Yep.
nice.
I
Yeah,
play
those
I
are
played Grinnell twice a year when I was at Monmouth. It is a good school. In fact, I think that's where the Midwest Conference is hosting the playoffs this year is at Grinnell College. So
also known for their ridiculously high scoring basketball team.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, 140 a game or something crazy. So yeah.
Blake, what can you tell us about these underclassmen that you've got at Montini? And specifically, I'll call out Julio Ayala, Cameron Cox, and John Louise. Those are three really good ball players. What are your thoughts on those guys?
Big fan of Ayala. That's yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about Ayala because I mean I drive him home to school every day and I take him home for practice every day. We're like a minute drive away. So I've got to know him like pretty well recently over the past, 3, 4 years. But truthfully, like he has some of the best hands. Like just the way like it's so hard to describe, but just like the actions he can do with his arm, like the way he can throw the ball, like the way he can like do these trick plays with his glove. It's like I've never seen another kid like our age being able to do that. Even pro ball players, it's very rare to see, the hands, the quickness, just the overall just like infielding capabilities out of him. Like it's just unbelievable.
He's got
Um,
pillows for hands, and he gets it out of that glove like a magician, man. It's insane.
He's like 90 across the diamond
Yeah,
almost.
yeah, and then just uncuts a missile.
I
yeah, I
mean,
mean,
I looked at the numbers, 4 errors and like 80 chances. I mean, that's unheard of in high school. You just don't see it.
No, that's something special for
I
sure.
mean, it's funny because like when they're in the infield, like if there's two outs and there's a ground ball like in the infield, like I just start walking off like the mound. Like I don't even have to like look. I just like leave.
That's amazing. That's when you know you've got a good defense behind you. That's almost more demoralizing to a team. Like if you just see the pitcher walking off, you're like, maybe he'll throw it away or something. And it's like, no, this one's over. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah. I think Can Cox, like he's taken tremendous strides. I mean, all three of those guys have started since they were freshmen. Some of them obviously it's a little hard to adjust to high school baseball, but Cam Cox has just been tremendous strides. I think last year he was like our 9-0 hitter, but this year he's batting one for us, and he's just like he's just so hot. Like I just feel like every at bat is going to be a hard hit ball, or he's going to take it, get a walk, or just have a quality at bat, every single time through. And in the infield too, like he could play second, short, third, like he's kind of unfortunate that we have Julio at shortstop for sometimes because that kind of prevents him from playing more, but we still get him at shortstop sometimes. And then Johnny Luis, just like he's a great two-way actually. He's probably our number two or three. He's able to get the ball. He's able to get up to like 91. He has some killer curveballs. Good changeup, but just his power is just. I mean, like I think on Thursday we hit a ball like I think coach calculated it was like 400 feet or something like that. Like the ball was just like destroyed. And it was really cool because like we had like a senior sunset like right after. So there was like 100 like, kids my age just watching the game because they're about to go to the senior sunset, and he hit the ball in
Yeah.
front of all of them. And it was just so cool. It was like like I bet he felt great. Like it was just crazy to watch.
Those are
That's
special moments.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah,
I
for
believe,
sure.
am I correct, Blake? All three of those guys are uncommitted right now.
Yes, they all are. Yeah. I think there was a school recently at our game watching them. He might have been watching all of them, might have just been watching a couple. But I mean, they definitely won't be uncommitted for that much longer, especially the juniors.
Yeah.
Nice.
What else? What else you got, Diggs? Anything?
Nothing. This is man. There's about a million different things I'd love to clip out of this. I mean, the mindset, 40 years over four, the way you approach the recruiting process with taking the bull by the horns and sending out the emails and really, working to make sure that you ended up with a school that fit everything you needed. Man, this is one of my favorite interviews. So Blake, kudos to you, my friend. It's incredible.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun with the whole process, like just talking to all the coaches. Like that was a big thing for me, with just like getting as many phone calls as I can. Like I feel like I got better throughout the process. And it was like even some schools, I usually wouldn't consider, like just those interviews helped me with the interviews with the schools that I wanted to talk to. So I thought that was
Yeah,
really big, a really big part for me.
man, you are.
He's
That
got it.
is.
He's got it all. I think.
I, that
So
I've been doing this 20 years, and I've never thought of it as, hey, talk to this school because you're going to want to get more comfortable with it. Like I tend to tell guys like, hey, if it's not a school for you, just say, hey, coach, I appreciate it, but I just don't see myself going there. This is what I'm looking for, something like that, and that's fine. But man, to and the key there is going to be obviously, and I'm sure Blake did this, was hear them out, take the opportunity to have that interview, get better at it, and then say, hey, coach, out of respect for your time, I don't want to keep you hanging. Thank you so much for the offer, but I think I'm going to pursue something with a little higher academics or something like that. But that's just, man, that's dynamite. This has been the best 20 minutes uh, that we've had in a while.
I
yeah, thanks
try.
for coming on,
I
Blake,
try.
and good luck to the Broncos the rest of the way. I know you're going to stick around on mute, or feel free to stay off mute. We're going to talk about some other scores and ball players.
All right, Mr. Bentley, take us through the score center, my friend.
Yeah, score center. We'll bounce around. We'll do some alternating, but Mr. Blake Hires been good enough to stick around for a little bit and possibly comment on a few of these games we're going to talk about. So the first one I'm going to hit is St. Viator sweeping Nazareth. Both really good teams. When they got the second win against Naz, they reached 20 wins. So congrats to St. Viator. In game one, Tanner Benya has 4 hits, a homer shy of the cycle. Game two, Jack Corliss pitches, complete game, allows one unearned run against Mr. Landon Tomey and Gavin Hartigan and company. And then with the bat, the guy we talked about last week, Brandon Thompson, has 3 hits, including his 6th bomb.
What's Blake? What can you tell us about Viator? What's the feeling like when you see that lineup?
Honestly, I pitched against him last year, and Brandon Thompson, like I've played with him for the past 4 or 5 years now. Like truly, my arguably the best catcher I've ever had. So I know him pretty well, and just like the way he's able to like work at bats, like work pitches. It's just like every at bat is either like an 8 pitch walk or just a barrel, home run, single, double. Like he's just on like the and even just behind the plate too. Just like the way he's able to frame the balls. I love his pitch calling too. It's like I have no negatives to say about him. Also a great teammate too, being around him for a couple of years.
Very cool. Very cool. What else you got, Mr. Bentley?
Well, speaking of Mr. Thompson, who's going to Purdue, his soon-to-be teammate, Cooper Johnson, at Lincoln Way East. That's the team we're going to talk about next. That was a little segue there. Lincoln Way East.
Dynamite drop in, Monty. Those broadcast lessons are really paying off.
Oh, you got to love it. Lincoln Way East walks off Joliet West, who's a good team. Joliet West is up 7-0 in the 5th.
Bonkers.
The Griffins tie it. It goes into extras at 8-8. And a guy we talked about, you mentioned last week, Rocco Triolo, pokes a 3-run homer walk-off, 11-8. That was Rocco's 9th La Bomba of the year.
I was going to say, that kid's getting awful close to double digits, which at the high school level is unheard of.
It's crazy, and I think he's going to do it. So,
it is interesting. We were talking about this last night, and Blake, you might be able to weigh in on this as well. So we were all sitting in the dugout last night after the region championship game. And on the one hand, it seems like hitters, this is going to sound bad, but I don't mean it like that, but hitters are more undisciplined than ever before. And yet the numbers are up, and Josh Robstein, one of our assistants, goes, yeah, all these bats are hotter than ever. We're playing, they've certified them. They're all BB Corps certified, but they're just as hot as it was back in the 90s when, they were trampolining balls, 14 bombs a game out in Omaha. It's just, and that's not taking anything away from a kid like Rocco who's coming up on double-digit bombs. I just don't know where we go next. That's my biggest worry. Blake, what do you think? Have you noticed more of a difference in how the ball comes off the bat as you've grown up here a little bit, in your high school years?
Obviously I've been on varsity for a couple years now. And I think it really just depends on the hitter. I think they have evolved, especially compared to 10 years ago, 8 years ago, of course. But
Yeah.
I feel like the bat's been pretty consistent the past 3, 4 years. Because I just feel like every time, I'll go to a hitting lesson or go to this, it was like, oh, this bat is so good, then this bat is so good. I just feel like all the bats are just consistently just as powerful and as they all have the same amount of pop. But I truly think, yeah, of course, over the last 4 years, they've been unbelievable as compared to the 10 years before that. So I think, especially in the past, since 2020, I think we've been in an age where the BB Corps bats have been extremely hot.
Blake,
Nice.
what can you say? You mentioned batting lessons, and it's a little bit of my theory that everybody has their hitting guru now. Everybody. And starting at a young age, where when Diggle and I were playing, no, there's no hitting lessons. Hitting lessons is. Go ahead.
I got one hitting lesson in my life. That was it.
I had zero,
Yeah,
which makes sense with the numbers that I put up
yeah.
with the. But what are your thoughts, Blake? Because you're in the younger generation. You grew up with lessons probably being offered, or at least you've seen your teammates doing it at a very young age. Do you think that has had an effect on not only all these damn no hitters we're seeing and great pitching, but also on the hitters? Do you think that's a factor with everybody hitting lessons at such a young age that these are just good ball players?
Yeah, I think it certainly has. But I think it really depends, the way you do it. Because obviously, in the lesson you're gonna work on things, but once you get to the game, you can't focus on what you learn in the lesson like during the game. Like I know a lot of kids who kind of have that problem where it's like, in the lessons they're getting taught all the right information, but they're trying to incorporate that into the game too quickly. Like I think my brother, for example, he plays JV at Montini, and he had a bad game, and he was like, I was trying to work on what my coach was telling me to do. And I'm like, you can't make those adjustments mid-game. Like that has to be something you have to do like without thinking about it. But I think it takes a lot of like time and repetition. But certainly once those lessons work after a couple of years, like it definitely improves performance across all hitters.
I like it. Speaking of your brother, is his first name Clay?
Yes, it is.
Give us a scouting report on Mr. Clay. He's got a couple bombs this year for JV.
He does. He does. We made a joke, I think, because I think it was for the first like 15 games of the season. He has as many home runs as the entire varsity team, which was kind of crazy. Like I don't know how, because he's a pretty skinny kid. Like that's the thing. It's like, um, but he's already like my height. Definitely gonna be taller than me. I think he actually is taller than me. It's a joke that I'm the shortest male hire in the family, and I'm like 6'1". Um, so that I don't take lightly to that. That kind of makes me mad, but he's certainly just we call him skin and bones, but he's been working hard. I just think he needs more of like a structured program. Like that was my big thing is like you need like a structured program like every day, or it's like wherever you're working out, like you need to know what you're doing. And he's done that a little bit, but I think once he does that, he'll be able to make even bigger strides and hopefully be better than me, be better than I was. Go to an even better school than I'm going.
That's cool. That's good of you to say. And we'll be watching him. Diggle,
Absolutely.
Diggle, I'm going to head into Mount Carmel and see if Blake can give us some analysis.
Yeah.
Mount Carmel slipped past Sandberg, both PBR ranked teams on and off, at least for Sandberg, 15-14 in a track meet. The Wake Forest commit TJ McClellan, third baseman, he gets 4 hits, two of them are bombs, 6 RBIs. And on the other side, Sandberg's Giovanni Longo has 4 hits and 6 RBIs, two doubles for the Eagles. That's a lot of runs, not a lot of pitching. They could have used a Blake Hire perhaps on his heater right now to keep that over under on the low. But Blake, what can you tell us about the Caravan and or Sandberg squad?
It's funny you talk about Mount Carmel because I actually pitched against them earlier in the year. It was a very interesting game. I think I had 5 innings and I actually gave up my first earned runs of the year, but I had like 12 strikeouts in 5 innings. It was kind of crazy. I think the fastball was working well that day, but the top three hitters of that lineup is just, I think it's the top three in the state. Just the 1, 2, 3 is just like, first it's McQuillan and then it's Ireland and then it's Anthony Chavez. And it was like, I remember it was funny because the first batter of the game was McQuillan, and I just tried to overthrow it, and I walked him like 4 pitches, but then I was able, calm down. I think I even struck out the side after that, so I was moving pretty well. And I remember this pretty vividly. I remember it was like I think it was tied like 1-1. There was like one guy on base. I'm facing McQuillan like the fifth inning with like 2 outs or something like that, like one out. And then I actually struck out McQuillan on a high fastball. So like I was feeling really good. I'm like, oh my gosh, like my fastball's humming today. Like this is awesome. And then sure enough, Island steps up, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna blow this fastball right by him. First pitch hits the farthest ball off me in like my life, to be honest. Just 400 feet onto the softball field. I just look at him in shock. I'm like, holy crap, that ball went so far. And I just stood on the mound like laughing. I was just laughing. I'm like, good for you. Like that was a good hit. Like I'm not even
Tip
gonna
your
say
cap,
anything.
man.
I just took my cap. I'm like, good job, bro. Like, and their pitcher too, like Connor Ellenteni threw a great game, like 7 innings, I think 2 runs. Like we lost 4-2. It was a good game. I think my first loss of the year, something like that. But it was like, I mean, I pitched well. Just if I could take that pitch back, I would. But I mean, like that's just good hitting.
That's a great
Hey,
couple stories there. That's
that's just,
outstanding.
hey, my best, your best. Let's see who's best.
I kind of agree with you about the top three hitters. And, even as you get lower in that lineup, like Brady Holland, who's going to Georgetown, who you could possibly play against in college,
Yeah.
on the outside of the conference schedule of the Patriot League. But that's a kid who can really swing it. So, and
Yeah.
the Logan Fernandez, the speedy center fielder, he's starting to really swing it too. Early on in this season of our podcast, they were sort of my Chicago area pick to click to make the Final Four because they're just so deep. But you never know. Baseball's a weird game. You never know what's going to happen in the playoffs.
Yeah. And speaking on Holland, I think that was the only kid from the lineup who I didn't strike out. Kudos to him. He's obviously great bat the ball skills. And then as you said about Fernandez, like his speed ability, like what he's able to do, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, he's a guy you don't want to walk. And I feel like just having watched him for
Just
2
threw him a
years,
triple.
for watching Logan for a couple years now, his bat is just really on the rise. And Diggle and I both think Triton, who got him, is basically burglarizing Mount Carmel, getting a player like him. But
I believe it was the
anyway,
great Don Reddy who said in some countries they would cut off your hands for stealing.
yeah. Thank you for joining us on Under the Weather.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a blast, man. Seriously, great answers, and I'm gonna be following you, man. Best of luck, and if you ever need anything, you've got my number from the text this afternoon. Shoot me a call, all right?
For sure. Will do. Thank you guys again. Have a
All
good
right,
one.
take care, dude.
Take care, Blake. We'll go back in time a little bit and do
Yeah.
a nice matchup between Oswego and West Aurora. Finals 10-9, Oswego East pulls it off, which both two good teams here. But the main reason I wanted to highlight this game is your pick for Gatorade Player of the Year, Mr. Dominic Batista, going to UIC. 2 bombs in this one. The bat is there. It's always been there. And like we said before many times, we like to highlight dudes who everyone knows about when they do well because they deserve it. Also in that, go ahead.
This is, the closer and closer we get to the draft, this is like there's more and more kids just popping up in Illinois. Like it's like if I really believe probably PBR's top 11 all have a chance. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed, but they have a chance of hearing their name. And then you add in all the college guys, all the JUCO guys, the guys who are Illinois natives but are maybe playing at a ACC or SEC or Big 12 school or whatever. Man, this is a good year for Illinois baseball in the draft. Like this is pretty special group we're seeing together here. Heck, I just saw Landon Tomey's moved up to the end of the first round in the athletics mock draft. Keith Law moved him up to the I think it was to the I forget who has the last pick. Not the Dodgers. The Astros maybe of the first round. So it was pretty interesting as far as the draft right now. And Dom,
I'm excited to see it.
Dom falls right in there, man. He's got speed, he's got the arm, he's got the glove. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I love to see him go to UIC for the Missouri Valley and et cetera. But I'm kind of surprised an SEC school didn't grab him. But hey, we all have our reasons, man. And Curtis Granderson had said it was just fine to play there, so good enough for me.
Yeah, it's one of those things where who knows what the SEC saw. I mean, this draft class strikes me as pretty deep on the high school level. And so that usually, that means there were more kids, out there and available. But I also think there's something to be said for, these new contact rules, the no early commits anymore. I think that played a role in it as well. Because it was real easy when you were a Tennessee or a Vandy or Louisville to roll in here and be the, first guy to take, a kid out of the freshman class. But now that they've put the early recruiting rules in place and the roster limits and all that stuff, that's adding up to some kids. You could call it lost opportunities, but it's also kind of restored some sanity to the sport as well.
Agree. And to segue from draft to draft, in that same game, the Oswego West Aurora game, Jackson Tucker, who's ranked number 93 in the country
Yeah.
in the 27 class, he's an Oklahoma State commit. He also hit a home run in that game where Batista had 2. That was his 9th home run, giving him the Oswego East single season home run record. And real quick, just to give you an idea of why Mr. Tucker is ranked a top 100 already, he's got 9 bombs, as I mentioned, 24 steals,
Yeah.
31 runs, 27 ribeyes. That
Yeah.
too. Those 2 in the lineup.
Yeah. I don't know what Jackson runs. I know he runs well, but I know Dom's like a 6.57. But Tucker is a little if he has a growth spurt, he's probably looking at moving to third or maybe an outfield spot like that. But man, even though he's 6'4" right now, like he gets after it. He's got potential to stay on the dirt, I think.
So last time Tucker ran was March of 2025, and he was sub 6'7".
There you go.
I gotta believe he's probably about 6'5" or better.
Yeah,
at this.
probably. And think about and what's his official height and weight? You got it in front of you?
Weight is, again, this was from 2025. 6'5", 185.
That's insane. 6'5" kid running 6'5".
And
Like-
that was when he was a sophomore.
Yeah,
Right before his sophomore year is when he got measured.
that's just a kids look at that all the time and go, well, hey, I ran faster than that kid, or I ran the same thing as that kid, and he's going to Oklahoma State. Why aren't I going to a Power 4 school? And it's because you're 5'10" and did that, and he's 6'5", 185, and they can still hang 30, 40 pounds of good muscle on him, and he'll still keep a bit of that speed. And that's the difference. That's freakish type stuff when you're 6'5", 185 and running 6'5". That's some stellar stuff.
He's a special player too.
Yep.
So the last one I got on Score Center is really down closer to you. Tremont clinches their conference title with an 11-0 no-hitter against Leroy. Mr. Chase Rhodes was up to 94 cheese in this game. He goes 5 innings with 13 Ks. Andrew Dawson finishes it with 4 Ks in 2 innings. Congrats to the Turks.
Just there are, I've been around baseball in the Peoria area since 1990. What was that, 5? So 31 years now. And you always remember teams that had a lot of kids you liked, and this Tremont team and that was honestly one of the first programs I covered that had one of those teams. Going back to the Tremont teams of like 2002, 2003 that had like Drew Garrick and Adam James and Rob Wicks. There we go. Jeez, my bad, coach. Sorry. But anyway, this Tremont team is a lot like that, where it's got, Rhodes is a great kid, Dawson's a great kid, Meeker, little Jake Williams,
Pappenhouse recently committed to Monmouth College.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just they're a bunch of great kids, and Eddie Betson's a great coach, great dude. Really exciting to see this, and quite honestly, I mean, there's just not a lot of 1A, 2A schools that have what they have, which is 2 guys who can step on the bump and run it into the mid 90s. And Meeker's probably not far behind, but he'll be upper 8s all day. The Turks, they haven't translated the talent into a postseason run yet, but I think it might be coming this year.
They're due, and a lot of that we've talked about so many times. This game, it's a funny game.
Oh yeah,
You can have your five worst players on the bench be better than the other team's best five and somehow still lose
yep,
occasionally. And that's why, the great teams in the MLB are still losing 60 plus games. I'm talking the greatest teams of all time.
yeah,
They're still losing 60 games a season.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that was the Turks have obviously had a great week. It was honestly a good week for small school baseball in general around here. Most of the notes I've got are actually focused on small school ball. Um, the big one was yesterday out in Farmington as the Farmers hosted Brimfield Elmwood. It was supposed to be uh, Illinois Central College recruit Landon Crawford, PBR's number 50 player in the state, on the bump against the Indians of Brimfield Elmwood, and that would have squared him off with Caden Shotzik, the Illinois State recruit who was with us last week on the program. Caden and the Indians needed 8 innings, but they got the best of the Farmers, 7-5. Shotzik goes 2 bombs and then also jumps on the bump to close it out and is 91-94 off the bump. So pretty good outing there for Caden. Unfortunately, Landon Crawford didn't get the start. They went to Bronson Ashley instead. Bronson pitched pretty well, struck out 12 against a real nice Broomfield lineup. But not didn't get the promised matchup there for Crawford versus Shotzik. So, but still, nice win for the Indians there for sure. For sure.
Tremont, Farmington, so many small schools that are known for consistently good baseball teams.
Really just consistently good athletics. That's the crazy
Yeah,
part.
that's true too.
Good football, good basketball, good baseball. There are, and we talked about this a little bit last week. I think we mentioned Ottawa Marquette, and there are just certain places, certain schools where the winning is taught. Like it's been done for so long that it's been passed down from grandpas to dads to the kids to the nephews to the to their kids. It's just there's something different about these towns that consistently win, for sure. And it's harder than ever to become one of those towns. So anyway, we'll keep it in Fulton County for a brief minute and give a shout out to a friend of the pod, Cash Van Houten. Cash, they've been using Cash a little bit differently. They were throwing him against primarily the 2A schools on the schedule, not because it was easier, but because that helped them establish a better baseline for where they should be voted in the postseason in the regional seeds. But finally stepped into a middle Illini start here, and he blanks Pekin 2-0, gives a 2-hit shutout, 9 Ks, 1 walk. So nice outing for Cash there for the Little Giants. And then sticking in the middle Illini, our banger baseball name of the week, Mr. Bentley, Cannon Foster, the freshly minted Illinois Central College recruit, goes CG no-hitter with 15 Ks against Bloomington High yesterday. So shout out to Cannon for showing off the cannon, so to speak.
Yeah, and congrats on that commitment. And I will counter you with my banger baseball name of the week, Paxton Freeborn, outfield first base, Naperville North. He is no slouch either. He is ranked 47 in the 2027 class. This year he's got 3 bombs and I believe a baker's dozen steals.
Nice. Very nice. All right. Let's see. Wanted to take a second and shout out Illini West. The Chargers are once again a threat out to the West. They've been a postseason. I think they're coming up on. They've got to be getting close to like 90 wins in the last 3 years. Just a great job by head coach Zach Burling out there. But his best player, he was an All-Stater last year, and I'm sure he'll be one again this year after you hear these numbers. Wes Robertson, the John Wood recruit, hitting 544, 8 doubles, 6 triples, 2 homers, and 34 RBIs. With still a couple weeks left to go.
Did he break his school's all-time RBI record, which I believe was already in jeopardy last season?
Yes.
He was approaching. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yep. So, really nice ball player. He actually played with Shotzik and the Dungeon and all those dudes on that Canes 2026 team last summer. So, good for Wes. Great kid. Great program. Great town. A lot of love for Carthage in my world. So, very nice there. And then one more small school to highlight this week. Keegan Scholl of Illinois Valley Central out there in Chillicothe. The 2027 two-way candidate tosses a no-hitter. 79 pitches in 6 innings, 9 Ks, no walks against Canton. So kudos to Keegan. Been up to 87. I've had the privilege of watching this kid since he was 8. He used to come to ICC baseball camps because his cousin Brett used to play center field for us. So what's crazy about Keegan Scholl is if you had asked anybody what he was going to be, we would have said catcher, because that's what he loved to do when he was like 8 or 9 years old, and he was great at it. He would volunteer to, like, hey, we need somebody to catch the junior high kids' pens, and he'd be like, I'll do it. Like, dude, you're 9. Like, this kid's 14 and hucking. He's like, yeah, I got it. And then he goes, and he's just gonna bulldog it and just go at it. So, really, really fun to watch. Thrilled that Keeg's having some success this year. And really excited to see what the future holds for him. So that's what's going on down here, big guy. What, you got anything else?
I got one more that I feel like as a big time show that we are, we have to mention. Out by where Blake Heyer is going to go to school near Holy Cross in Massachusetts, there's a 6'9" southpaw that goes to Bishop Feehan. His name is Brody Bumula, and he struck out 20 through a no-hitter, and he throws 100 miles an hour, and Baseball America says he's going first round. And every time I see him pop up on Twitter, the video, it's just a beautiful mechanical delivery. And I just love seeing the front 3 rows behind home plate with all these guns popped up, and these scouts are just eating it alive. They're all over this kid. This dude could be on a baseball card pretty quick.
Yes, that has been one of the more interesting storylines this year, because so much has to go right for a kid that height to do what he does consistently. There's more big pitchers than ever before, but especially ones that are still, like, you can sometimes get a giraffe on roller skates too. If you got a kid like that, and he is, like you said, it is not that. It is smooth. It is polished. and it sizzles. Um,
There's only so many Bear Kellys that are that height that can really
yes,
harness the prowess of
100%.
being on the mound.
And what's, I'll give you a perfect example of what it can look like if they find it. Wyatt Jake, who we found out yesterday had earned second team all conference at ICC. Kid's a 6'9" high school kid out in Las Vegas. He's good at basketball, but not great. Realizes that the guys that he runs around with are probably going to go further than he does. Decides to give baseball a try. But again, he's 6'9", 165 pounds. A freaking stiff wind could carry him away. And Brett Kelly takes a shot on him, redshirts him for a year, gets him, somewhat set last year. Had some inconsistencies, had to kind of, ride the ups and downs. And this year, the kid was as consistent as can be, and is going to go to Southwest Baptist down there in Missouri in the GLBC. So, it's just it's one of those things that is so hard to do it because, like you said, there's nobody. You can teach mechanics to somebody who's in the same size range, but when you start, if you're a 6'2" pitching coach or a 5'10" pitching coach, how do you translate what you want him to do into that big of a frame? There's just a lot to it, and like you said, it's just the way it's all coming together for him is real interesting.
I mean, Randy Johnson, Chris Young, who is now the GM of Texas, I believe.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of other pitchers who, were all-stars. And I think Chris Young was at least one-time all-star.
He was.
But like you said, there's just not a ton.
The only other one I can think of in the bigs right now, or that has been in the bigs recently, is Sean Healy.
Okay, yeah.
Out of he's from Minnesota originally, but he went to Kentucky and was with the Giants, I think, when he got up. But yeah, there's just not many guys that big. It's really, really something for sure.
What I like about Brody's delivery is it's a little bit. So I'm comparing him a lot to Jack Bauer because I think he's this year's Jack Bauer. He's getting all the attention, but Brody hides that ball.
Yep. I was just going to say that.
The very end, and he almost short arms it, but not quite. And it just pops out of his hand. It is a beauty. If you folks haven't seen, just go on Twitter or the internet, Brody Bumila, Bumila. It's a thing of beauty. It's really cool to see.
Yeah. What's really impressive is they're getting that much video and scouting attention up there in Massachusetts, which cannot have the best weather ever right now. Like, I mean, that's always a hit or miss. It's even worse than us. Like, we're 50-50 on whether it might be spring or winter still here. They're probably more 1/3 of a chance it's going to be spring today. So the fact that he's doing that is pretty incredible.
Yep.
So, well, Mr. Bentley, let's talk 5 for 5, shall we?
Let's do it.
So it's going to happen. It's not official, but it's going to happen. Everybody has been told to prepare as though it's going to happen. What we're hearing right now, from the school side of things and how they're going to implement this, and I know you and I have both been having conversations with kids today, recently wondering how this is going to work. It is not going to apply to any seniors this year who have played out their eligibility in 4 straight years. Like, we were finally out of the COVID kids that had like their 6th and 7th years and all that. Or 8th and 9th years in some cases, dear God. The example I'll use is a non baseball example, but it easier to understand, I think. Um, and that would be the case of Illinois basketball player Kylan Boswell. Kylan just finished up his senior year at Illinois. And under this proposal, he would not be eligible for another year because he used up his allotted 4 years of eligibility in that time frame. So he's done. He didn't have to sit when he transferred from Arizona to Illinois. So he doesn't have to, he's used up all 4 years and he's done. It would only apply to people who still have another year of eligibility. The other thing that people have asked about, that I've heard a lot about, is how are they going to handle red shirts? And that I can't tell you. I think they're going to grandfather it in. You know, if somebody, you know, like a Ryan Brucker, for example, at ICC is headed to Eastern Illinois. I think what they'll do, because Bruck redshirted his freshman year at Southeastern Illinois Community College down there in Harrisburg, and then came to us and played last year and played this year as a redshirt sophomore. I think he will still have 3 years when he lands in Charleston in August. Again, not 100% sure of that. Obviously, there's still some stuff that needs to be handled out in the official legislation, but I just guessing that's how it's going to get handled. For current players, like if you're starting when you start college in August, I believe the goal is for you to have 5 years to complete 5 years of eligibility. So what that means is you could play 5 seasons in 5 years. Some people are still wondering what they're going to do with the red shirts. Like, would you still be able to medically redshirt and get a 6th year of eligibility, even though you would have only played 5, obviously, but like the old, you tear your ACL and then, you sit the rest of that year out and rehab and come back. And I don't know. I don't think they will, but we'll see. As far as the impact, and stop me whenever you want, David, if I'm talking too much or you got a question that
I'm taking notes. I'm literally taking notes because I've had multiple players ask me about it. And that's why I texted you and said, let's talk about this at the end of the show.
I think the immediate impact, and we're already starting to see this, unfortunately, is there are, if you talk to any Division I coach, and Steve Holm has been the guy that's been most honest about this, and Steve's not afraid to tell you what he thinks. And Steve said, "Look, if I have a choice between a 23-year-old guy and an 18-year-old kid, and that 23-year-old guy has played 3, 4, 5 years of college ball, I'm taking that kid every time over the high school kid, because I'm not going to have to wait for the high school kid to gain strength or, to get up to speed or to get used to the speed of the game or be able to manage, going to class and, doing your homework and the study tables and the lifts and baseball, and learning how to manage your time." So what I think you're going to see, unfortunately, over the next several weeks, probably, from now until mid-June, as D1 teams start to end their season, there's going to be a lot of kids that are committed to Division I schools that get told, we don't have a room for you on the roster anymore. Because, again, they can either, if they've got a kid who, was hurt this year and, might have been out of eligibility or whatever, now he can come back, or just a whole new batch of 5 for 5s. Whatever it does, like I think you're going to see some kids lose their spots. Like I said, we've started to see that a little bit already. As you see on Twitter, a kid here and a kid there, and I think that's just kind of the start of things. Unfortunately, they have the right to do that. And I think it's going to be very important for everybody, but especially those kids, to be ready to pivot to another school. Will it be a D1 school? I would bet not. I think they'll be pretty full. So you're going to need to look D2 junior college, NAIA, stuff like that. I think it's, as you and I talked about, it's ultimately a good thing. But we got to get through the implementation first. The implementation could be a pretty rocky road to travel.
The first guy through the door always gets bloodied. And that's going to be the class of 2026.
Yep.
High school. So
Yeah.
Sorry, gentlemen. Be prepared to pivot, like
Yeah.
Diggles just said.
Yeah. And it could
don't-
happen. It could happen now. It could happen at the midpoint of your freshman year. Just, be ready. One, work hard enough to where they can't send you home, to where you're just that valuable. But two, don't give them a reason to either. As many wise coaches said, don't do something that makes me have to, remove you from this team.
Yep.
So,
And on this Mother's Day, a little bit of advice along those lines. Players, treat your mothers well. They come over, they hand you a Gatorade over the fence. Say thank you, Mom. Don't be entitled, because college scouts, college recruiters, MLB scouts, they are watching things like that. So happy Mother's Day out there.
yes. Yeah, that is 100% a truth fact. I'm watching if the kid's a real spoiled shit and whines and cries about it, or, says I didn't get a hit because you didn't give me that Gatorade soon enough or whatever.
I said Gatorade Zero, not regular.
Right. Hey, I have seen that. I have seen that.
I have too. I've seen it from my 9-year-old. I'm like, what are
Yeah.
you doing? You get what you
Yeah.
get, and you
Yeah.
don't throw a fit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, absolutely. Players, true, they should go without saying, take care of mama. But definitely understand that that's part of what you're evaluated on, is how you treat your parents. So, yeah.
I think the 5 for 5, I'm gonna have, like, I'm holding all questions at this time. Like, I feel like your press conference was sort of, I'm not taking questions. Here's what I know at this early preliminary stage.
Oh, yeah.
because
And it's not even what I know. It's just what I've been told, looks like is going to happen. Honestly, this is probably a good time for us to take Elvis up on his invitation to come on the show and talk about it.
I would love to hear it. And the other take that was popping around in my head is JUCO baseball, folks. Do not discount a JUCO coach that reaches
Yes.
out because you're committed to a mid-major D1. Be courteous. Feel free to tell them no. Just be courteous and respond is my advice. You do not want to be caught in the game of musical chairs that's really started with the 34-man roster and now is continuing with 5 for 5.
Yeah.
But it may happen that you don't have a chair. So treat those folks that reached out all with professional courtesy.
You know what? That's a great point. And I guarantee if Blake Hire, God forbid, decides he doesn't like it at Holy Cross or wants to get back closer to home, whatever, I highly doubt that'll happen, but crazier things have happened. He will have no shortage of options because he replied to everybody. He had a thought process in place. I mean, that if you showed that interview to 100 coaches at the ABCA convention, no matter what level, they'd be like, "Oh my god!" Like those are, that's a kid we would recruit the hell out of.
I felt like in the first 4 minutes of our discussion with him, I'm like, this should be shown at the ABCA
Yeah.
convention as what those of you who are advisors to high school kids.
Yeah.
This is how you want to act
Yes.
when you're being recruited, being scouted. If you're in college and a pro scout wants to talk to you, that just the way he was, and you could tell there's no fakeness. He's a genuine dude.
Yeah.
That was a schooling of how to answer every question perfectly. And what a great guest.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mr. Bentley, that's all I've got, my friend.
Glad to hear that Sue Diggle as well. And all you mothers out there, thank you. And I'm excited we got some stuff going this week. I'm trying to remember what's going on as far as matchups that you can remember.
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about matchups. Tuesday,
Illinois this week.
Tuesday, it's the battle for intercity supremacy, and I guess it's not really intercity. It's they're both in Normal, but Normal U High versus Normal Community on Tuesday at 4:30 at Community.
Both PBR ranked in their Power 25, and then also in Diego Solara's rankings.
Yep.
Obviously, Community's there, but U High is creeping up the charts.
Yeah, so much talent on the field in that one.
Yep.
And what's real interesting is that a lot of those kids at Normal Community started their careers at U High. Hyman, Swartz, Michaels, Jones, like all those dudes. So Normal U High could have been just an absolute wagon, regardless of class, and they're still playing pretty well. So kudos to former Limestone Rocket Chuck Schempf, good old Charlie Schempf, my sophomore catcher when I was my 1 year as an assistant at Limestone. That was him and Robbie Gossmeyer were the sophomores we promoted.
Good deal. Up here north of the wall, my favorite matchup this week is going to be Lockport's going to play Lincoln Way East.
Yes, there you go.
And speaking of Lockport, April 16th is the last time they lost. They have a 13-game win streak. They lost on the 16th to St. Lawrence 2-1, I believe.
Is that even count as a loss, really?
And it really shouldn't. I think it was that continuation game that got resumed.
Oh, the Jimmy Benson game? Yeah.
The Jimmy Benson 400 pitch game. But really it was only like 60 and 60 in 2 weeks. But Lincoln Way East and Lockport on most people's rankings are both 2 top 10 teams in the state. So that should be 2 Titans exchanging blows. And I'm going to try to catch at least one of those tilts. If I can convince the wife to allow me to disappear for 3 hours in the middle of the week.
Nice. Let him do it, Christy. All right, brother. Well, that's what I got for you. So
good stuff.
We thank everybody for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm thrilled that we were able to get Blake Heyer on. That continues our trend of strong guests lately. The young kids today catch a lot of crap, Coach Bentley, and I sometimes fall into that trap as well. But kids are going to be all right. We've had some pretty darn sharp kids on here.
I do believe there was a song by The Who, "The Kids Are All Right."
Yeah.
And it does. Either we're picking out randomly,
I'm
somewhat
gonna say
randomly.
we're not that smart, so don't give us too
Yeah.
much credit.
Like, look, I'm just like any other baseball fan. I see Blake Heyer pop up a lot on Twitter, throwing gas, chucking cheese, great filthy Arsenal sub 2 ERA. I reach out, hey, you want
Yeah.
to come on? Look, I'm not, again, we're a two-man crew. We cannot be at a lot of these games, but we have had some great, mature, good ball players on lately, and we're blessed for that.
Agreed.
Hopefully we'll continue that trend.
Yep, wholeheartedly. Well, folks, as always, we thank you for joining us, and we will see you down the road.